March 2019. In the Pacific Ocean, a research vessel begins a descent into the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. An autonomous submersible begins its 8-hour dive into total darkness. Its target, Challenger Deep, nearly 11,000 meters below the surface. The AI pilot detects something on the seafloor, something that shouldn't exist. The cameras activate. Welcome to the Mariana Trench. The pressure here could crush a human body in less than a second. The darkness is absolute. No sunlight has reached this depth in millions of years. And yet, there is life. Creatures that glow in the void. Fish with bodies like jelly, resisting forces that would turn steel to powder. Strange metallic sounds echoing through the darkness with no confirmed source. This is a dramatic retelling of humanity's deepest dives, guided by an AI pilot experiencing what no human could survive. It will map what has never been seen, document life at the edge of possibility, and return with answers to questions we didn't know to ask. But there's a problem. Power is limited. Hull integrity is finite. And at 11 kilometers down, there is no rescue. If the machine fails, it stays there forever. The descent begins now. As the submersible releases from the ship, ballast tanks flood with seawater, pulling it down. It slips beneath the waves. At 10 meters, surface noise fades. Sunlight still paints the water in shifting blues. At 100 meters, the last safe abort point passes. The AI does not choose it. Descent continues. 150 years ago, sailors on HMS Challenger lowered a lead weight into this same ocean. They expected to hit bottom at 3 kilometers. The weight kept sinking. 4 kilometers, 5, 6, 7. When it finally stopped, more than 8 kilometers down, they had discovered the Mariana Trench. Drop Mount Everest into this hole, and its summit would still be 2 kilometers underwater. But they could only measure it. They couldn't reach it. Our AI pilot is now passing 200 meters. The light is already fading. Tiny particles begin to drift past the cameras. Marine snow, dead plankton, fecal pellets, fragments of larger organisms. This is how the surface feeds the deep. At 500 meters, pressure is 50 times atmospheric, enough to crush an unprotected human instantly. The AI monitors stress sensors. Hull integrity, 100%. All systems nominal. At 1,000 meters, the last traces of sunlight vanish. This is the mesopelagic, the twilight zone, the border between worlds. Beyond 1,000 meters lies the bathypelagic, the midnight zone. Here, day and night mean nothing. It is always dark, but life persists. Jellyfish pulse with blue light. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures. Even bacteria emit faint glows. The AI's cameras capture a viperfish, teeth like needles. It vanishes into the void. 1,200 meters. The viperfish is gone. But we are not alone. A siphonophore drifts into frame, 50 meters long, longer than a blue whale. It is not one animal. It is thousands of tiny creatures acting as a single body. It glows as it passes. Blue, violet, white, then disappears into darkness. 1,500 meters. The dragonfish appears. Its body absorbs light. So dark the cameras almost miss it. Its teeth are transparent. When it bites, prey cannot see the trap until it's already inside. 2,000 meters. Sperm whales have been tracked diving to exactly this depth, chasing giant squid in total darkness, using only sound. The scars on their skin tell the story. Suction cup marks the size of dinner plates. Battles fought down here that no human has ever witnessed. The vampire squid appears. Not actually a squid. Something older than both. A living fossil. Unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. It spreads its dark webbed arms like a cape and disappears into the void. 3,000 meters. Marine snow drifts past the camera. Dead plankton. Fish waste. Microscopic fragments falling from the surface world above. It takes weeks to reach this depth. But for everything living here, this slow drift of debris is the only food source. The entire deep ocean feeds on what the surface discards. 4,000 meters. The abyssal zone begins. Sea cucumbers cover the seafloor, processing mud, extracting whatever nutrition remains. Brittle stars spread their arms in every direction. Millions of them. A living carpet across the bottom. This is the abyssopelagic. The abyss. The word comes from Greek. It means no bottom. Flat. Silent. Cold. Vast. This zone covers the majority of the entire ocean floor. Most of our planet looks exactly like this, and we have barely seen any of it. 6,000 meters. This number matters. 90% of the world's oceans are shallower than 6,000 meters. But the Mariana Trench goes nearly twice as deep. This is the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. This zone only exists inside the deep ocean trenches, less than 1% of the ocean floor, the most extreme environment on this planet. Pressure here exceeds 1,000 atmospheres, the weight of a jumbo jet pressing on a coin. Forces strong enough to turn bone to powder. The snailfish appears. Translucent body. You can see through its skin. No scales. No armor. The deepest fish ever recorded on Earth. Found at 8,336 meters. Its secret? No air pockets. Its body simply accepts the full weight of the ocean and thrives. The Mariana Trench holds more than 60 underwater volcanoes, but most are mud volcanoes. They erupt not fire, but thick, ancient mud. Centuries of marine snow falling from above, accumulating as sediment, creating a layer between the Pacific plate and the Philippine plate. This sediment acts as a lubricant, helping the plates slide, smoothing their collision. This is why this region produces fewer catastrophic earthquakes than it should. At hydrothermal vents, water exits at 450 degrees Celsius. It does not boil. Pressure will not allow it. And around these vents, life. Bacteria that consume chemicals, not sunlight. Some scientists believe this is where life on Earth began, not in warm, shallow pools. But here, in boiling acidic darkness, kilometers below the surface. 10,000 meters. The seafloor appears on camera, white, soft, completely undisturbed. This sediment has been accumulating for millions of years. 1 centimeter every 1,000 years. Amphipods swarm across it, thousands of them. Some reaching 34 centimeters, 10 times larger than their shallow water cousins. Deep pressure does strange things to evolution. 10,935 meters. Challenger Deep. The deepest place on Earth. Only a handful of humans have ever been here. Fewer people have stood here than have walked on the moon. The submersible's collection arm extends. Sediment gathered from the bottom of the world. Inside this mud, single-celled organisms, visible to the naked eye. Living at the deepest point on Earth. Then the camera finds something else. A plastic bag, half buried. At 10,935 meters. Even here, 11 kilometers from the surface, we have already arrived. But the sensors detect something unusual. A sonar ping returns distorted. There's something large, just beyond visual range. A massive form emerges from the sediment. The skeleton of a sperm whale, ancient bones, partially buried, scattered ribs, broken neck. How it reached this depth, no one knows. But hundreds of amphipods swarm over it, feeding. A single whale fall can sustain an entire ecosystem for many years. The bones, the tissue, the fat, all become food. In the deep ocean desert, a dead whale is an oasis. It feeds thousands of organisms. Even here, at the edge of existence, nothing is wasted. The submersible moves closer. 5 meters. High-resolution scans activate. The collection arm extends toward the whale bones. And then the seafloor trembles. A faint rolling motion. On the ship above, seismographs register a small undersea earthquake. Clouds of fine mud erupt from the trench slope, a wall of sediment boiling downward. If that cloud reaches the submersible at full density, visibility will drop to 0. The propeller could stall. The AI abandons the investigation. The arm retracts. The propeller spins to life. For several minutes, the submersible navigates almost blind, relying on sonar, mapping terrain in real time. Hull integrity 91%. Minor stress fractures, but stable. Battery reserves 42%. Enough for ascent, but the safety margin is gone. The AI flags the whale skeleton coordinates for future missions. But for this dive, the verdict is clear. It's time to leave. The submersible vents ballast. It begins to rise. Sunlight pierces the water, a final surge of buoyancy. The submersible breaks through the surface, bobbing in the open Pacific. The samples seal. What is collected today will take years to understand. New species, new chemistry, new questions. The whale skeleton. Bone samples collected. Analysis reveals a sperm whale, larger than average. Estimated 21 meters in length, over 60 tons in life. Carbon dating of the bacterial mats. The ecosystem sustained for nearly a century. 100 years of life, from a single death. But the question remains. Sperm whales dive to 2,000 meters. This one reached 5 times deeper. How did it arrive at 10,935 meters? The deepest point on Earth, the Mariana Trench, the most extreme place in our ocean. Most of the ocean's secrets are still down there, and the ocean is in no hurry to give them up. The Mariana Trench remains vast, dark, patient, waiting for the next descent, and whatever else is down there is waiting too. This is the story of the deepest place on Earth, and it has only just begun.